This is Alexander Baker of Reverie Astrology, here with a read-through of my article from May 12th, 2025, entitled Reflections on the Full Moon in Scorpio. The full flower moon in Scorpio exacted on Monday, May 12th, 2025, at 12:56 Eastern, mirroring the light of a vernal Taurus Sun from Earth's vantage. The moon, traditionally fallen in the simmering waters of Scorpio, might find its fortune upset by a ravenous hunger that takes us out of emotional contentment. With Luna here and Venus in her detriment of Aries, both ruled by Mars and Leo, however, the deluge might feel alternately sodden or sporty, if not emboldened by Mars dispatching two goddesses in compromised places. The difference between an integrated moon in Scorpio and an unintegrated one, cue Burning Man goggles or some shit, is like the romance of a rushing river versus the stagnancy of a bathtub in Buffalo Bill's basement. There is a gorgeous continuity to the first, carrying life from one body of water to another in libidinal flow. And there is a festering to the second scene, arising from covetous fixation and a failure to let go. I maintain that Scorpio placements are pretty emo and excessively maligned. From my subjective corner, Gemini Capricorn Contrahentisha or some bizarre multi-planet Aquarius stellium can be way more menacing. Scorpio, especially the moon therein, can at times be emotionally overcooked, pickled in the poison of feelings not relinquished, whereas staying hidden has a more attractive elusiveness when you don't know the person is sitting at home, stewing in a cauldron of resentment for everyone who's ever wronged them. Total waste of energy, right? Resentment is a blockade to gratitude, damming of the river a bane for imagination. Some years ago, in the month of March, I went on a date with a girl whom I ended up hanging out with again on a couple occasions during spring the next year. Quadruple Scorpio, Sun, Moon, Mercury rising, all ruled by Mars and Virgo. I found her professed commitment to wellness attractive, and yet nearly every conversation she began held some theme of people in her personal or professional sphere being jealous of her or trying to sabotage her life, as well as her derision of them. Venus in the 12th, too. On the evening we initially went out, she mentioned how one of the units neighboring her apartment had a stink pipe emitting a foul odor. Basically, the exhaust pipe on the roof was letting everyone know how the building's plumbing was doing. A year later, she mentioned how both the sink and tub in a bathroom at her new house were backed up and failing to drain. I was bothered by the symbols more than the externalities reflecting them, and that she seemed not to notice their relevance to her emotional being, regardless of whether I pointed it out. I was like, I hope that if she realizes these symbols, it accompanies a letting go of the resentments it seems like she can't not mention. Who knows? In other personal anecdotes, pretty much the only three people I've ever had a proper friend breakup with, in this case all guys, were born with the moon in Scorpio, ruled by Mars and Libra. I'm still friends with 1.5 of these people. In varying occurrence across all three friendships, I experienced my identity or individuality being exalted, then at other times being co-opted as my, In other personal anecdotes, pretty much the only three people I've ever had a proper friend breakup with, in this case all guys, were born with the moon in Scorpio, ruled by Mars and Libra. I'm still friends with 1.5 of these people. In varying occurrence across all three friendships, I experienced my identity or individuality being exalted, then at other times being co-opted as the friend would kind of put me down to make themselves look good, or sometimes even steal my language word for word and make like it was because of them. What a bunch of sandbagging hoes. I'm kidding. It would have been much more Pluto or Scorpio rising of me to play this hand close to my chest, but instead I poured some tea and made the second half of this writing slightly less useless. One of the things I appreciate about having Venus in Aquarius is that it helps me keep a sort of archetypal bird's-eye view of human nature, even if in my own limited way, which makes it a lot easier to forego resentments. The backdraft of this is that I can sometimes seem to run hot and cold, oscillating between passion and an aloof perch, even if inwardly I feel true through and through. But that's another matter. I'm sure I spot myself, even if just a glimmer, in others each time I feel they fail me. It's easier to accuse others of not showing up for you when it holds a mirror to the ways you've failed to show up for yourself. Scorpio moon can struggle with these things, where darker emotions, covetous or otherwise, might seek to contort others into codependency in an effort to prove self-worth, constricting to devour. There is hidden sublimation waiting to happen. Scorpio's alchemizing power lies in the ability to keep the intensity of feeling in a place of flow and purification. There is a nearly unlimited wellspring of creativity available to us if we learn to let this current course through us, rather than mistaking its strength for a stasis to be clung to. While the same transits overhead will hit each person's chart differently, here are just some of the themes to look out for. High desire, the urge to merge. Emotional buildup and the catharsis of letting go. Gratitude and resentment, passion and its flickers. Pride and prejudice, management of one's expectations. Is there more power in calling out a misdeed or moving on in silent composure? Are you moving on silently to punish, or are you doing it because it's a healthier route? Flow and purification versus unhealthy fixation or a failure to let go. Cutting out that indulgence or behavior you just can't go on with any longer. Usury or mistaking others' intentions as such. Choosing yourself also helping you treat others better. Hanging on to stagnant emotions manifesting in physical symptoms. Pride or self-sovereignty affecting one's level of receptivity, positively or negatively. Overdoing things, inwardly or outwardly. Letting the current course through us, rather than mistaking its strength for a stasis to be clung to. As always, swim well, stargazers. This is Alexander Baker of Rae Astrology.